Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, or alternatively titled Jurassic World Fallen franchise, successfully lives up to the legacy of its predecessor, Jurassic World, in that it's a movie that should never have been made. That being said, Fallen Kingdom does improve on some aspects of the original Jurassic World movie. Let us know down in the comments what you guys thought of this film. I'm Brennan Sem for the New Wave Nerds. Joining me, as usual, is my co-host, Shayde Sem. Now let's roll the intro. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, when the island's dormant volcano begins roaring to life, Owen and Claire mount a campaign to rescue the remaining dinosaurs from this extinction-level event. The film is directed by J.A. Bayona and written by Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow, starring Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Rafe Spall. Now, as always, we're going to begin with a brief, non-spoiler review. Now, Shayde, you silly sausage, what did you think of this?
I have a sausage?
That's my favorite line of the whole movie.
That's it?
Yeah.
Is that it? Oh.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's so good. Well, she's scared. So the little girl scares her, the maid, and she's like, "Oh, you silly sausage." Anyways, not spoilers. What did you think?
In my full honest opinion, well, I'll be honest on you. I don't know why I'd lie. It was better. Not better, like, story-wise, in my opinion, than the first. I enjoyed the Indominus Rex a lot more. But
More than the Indoraptor?
more than the Indoraptor. But the...
Sorry, that might be a slight spoiler. I didn't think about that, but it's okay.
Forget about it.
The movie's like 10 years old.
Yeah, it's been a while. I do feel like there are a lot of creative decisions in this movie that were better than the first one, like the CGI, like the acting. You know, I dog on Bryce Dallas Howard in the last episode, and you kind of do too. You know?
Well, yeah, but I don't think she was that great in this one either, to be honest.
I kind of felt like it was a little bit better.
There's one specific line that she has where I was like, "Oh, that was incredibly delivered." In the most sarcastic way possible. No, I don't know. I mean, I think she's okay. I will agree that I do think in some aspects this movie is more enjoyable than the first one.
Yeah.
Because it is, I mean, it's not just a redux of the first one. Or it's not just a redux of the original Jurassic Park like Jurassic World was.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that's a little bit different. The story is wild. And I don't know if it works after like the midpoint of the movie. But I will say in favor of this one, it definitely feels much more like an adventure film than the first one.
Oh yeah, way bigger adventure film.
It's definitely an action adventure. I mean, there's stuff going on in this one. I mean, we got people going up against the military. You know, it's pretty wild.
I felt like the setting for this, like I know it's the same island as it always has been, but I like the volcanic aspect to it.
Yeah,
you know,
and it looks good. I mean, like I said, like the effects in this movie are definitely better than the first one.
Yeah. My prime example of that is when Chris Pratt. Well, this might be a spoiler. I don't know.
Let's save it then. If you're not sure,
I'll
you know what?
it.
Let's head into the spoiler section
Yes.
right now. But before we do that, I'm going to very politely ask you all to head on over to patreon.com/newwavenerds.
Yes.
We're doing a patron drive over there where we're attempting to get 15 new patrons or $50 a month, whichever happens first, which will just about cover our podcast hosting fees. And when we do, we're going to be releasing a very special 12-part series. That's right. 12. It's going to be like 12 hours worth of content.
Yes.
It's going to be a whole half a day. It's going to be crazy, where we go over the classic DC comic series Crisis on Infinite Earths, the event that started it all.
And I'm fresh. You know, I'm still like a Crisis like virgin, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've read the whole series, and Shayde hasn't read any of it. So you're going to get two distinct points of view when we do this. We're going to be going over it issue by issue. We're going to be discussing the story as well as actually reviewing the issues themselves. So it's the perfect place to go if you're interested in DC Comics but don't have the time to read a 12-issue series from 1985, which feels like it's from 1985.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, though, and we're very excited to do it. So again, if you want to help us do that, if you want to help us make these videos look better, we're in the same boat as you. And if you want to help out, go to patreon.com/newwavenerds. Now, Shayde, what were you going to say about Chris Pratt?
So Chris Pratt gets
Kiss Pratt.
He gets tranked. He gets tranked up.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably a good idea to say it then. But he gets drugged up and he passes out. Like a trank does.
Sure.
And then like lava, like he's left there to die, and like the volcano erupts, lava starting to surround him, and he's like getting feeling back into his fingers and his toes. And then this, I don't know what the dinosaur is called. I'm gonna say this right now. I don't know my dinosaurs.
Me neither.
At all.
I don't either.
At all. I wasn't a dinosaur kid. I like trains.
You look like a dinosaur kid.
I was not a dinosaur kid. I like Batman, bro. I was cool. I was a cool cat. I was cool, dude. Anyway, this dinosaur, nice one of the nice dinosaurs, comes up to Chris Pratt and
Nicesaur, I think, is the technical term.
What's a meanosaur? He starts licking Chris Pratt.
Pause.
And the tongue looked good. I was trying to look deeply at like the connection points between the tongue and Chris Pratt, and it looked good. I liked it a lot.
The effects were definitely better. Like we mentioned in our review for the first Jurassic World episode, go give that a listen. We talked about how it's like the CG in some places like looks okay until it has to interact with something that's real. Like until a person has to touch the skin of a dinosaur, and then you can tell it looks really bad. This definitely mitigated a lot of that. And I will say, especially towards the end, this movie sort of put in place some of the things that we were talking about in the first Jurassic World, and in that it takes place at night. Yeah. So it's a lot easier to hide less good CG at nighttime than it is in broad daylight. So I think this movie did a much better job of playing with the lighting, and I felt like you mentioned this before, I feel like the set itself is kind of fun. Even though, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the story, it's basically just the same thing. My problem with it is, one, you just made a new species of of dinosaur last movie. You just did it.
Raptors are cool.
Yeah, but you just created your own dinosaur. Like, you're going to make a new movie with basically the exact same plot. Now, granted, it's different because this one is being... The first movie, the Indominus Rex, was genetically created to be scary so that it would draw crowds in, right? And this one is different because it's being genetically created so that it can be used as like a killing machine. So it's slightly different, but it's the same exact thing. I mean, they even use the same DNA from the Indominus Rex. You know what I mean? And so it's very weird. And then the fact that like this guy, the villain, Mr. Mills, Eli Mills, played by Rafe Spall, he's just such a bad villain. You know what I mean? Like, it's the most amount of development that this guy gets is that he's like, I'm gonna make a buttload of money for this estate. You know what I mean? Which I get is like, makes sense. But if that's you got to have a little bit more of a motivation there. Like you have to make the villain a character who you want to know more about. That's the hallmark of a good villain, is that it's somebody who, even if you don't like what they're doing, even if it's evil and wrong, you see how they get there. Because that's how you have to be able to identify with the villains just as much as you do with the heroes. And this guy has simply no motivation.
Yeah, well, my problem with him is like with the villain, and they want to keep this villain secret for the first half, so they try and play him as a nice guy. If it's my first time watching the movie, I don't want to know that he's the villain right away. If they're trying to play secret, Secret. I've got a secret. Well, I don't know why I said secret, but if they're trying to play secrets.
Sorry, just gonna sing Mr. Roboto the rest of the review.
He did not keep it secret good. Like, because right off the bat, you can already tell that he's not good.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where it's like, if this were a better made movie, then maybe the surprise would have actually been surprising. The twist would have, surprised you a little bit. But this, it's like, okay, this is like one of two people that we actually see who isn't Bryce Dallas Howard or Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Or one of, her employees or whatever. So it's like, of course, this guy's going to be bad. It's not executed very well. the actual reveal where he is doing the wrong things is not very interesting. And I feel like so the use of the young girl, Ben Lockwood's granddaughter, Maisie Lockwood, who's played by Isabella Sermon, the idea of that, or rather of her being somebody who loves dinosaurs so much, and that's how she sort of gets involved with this, and then that's why she lets the dinosaurs go free at the end, that in and of itself is interesting, but I cannot get behind the fact that she's a clone. It's just so stupid to me. That was
a weird twist for them to do. And earlier I talked to you about it. I was like, I did say that Grandpa was a villain earlier when we were talking personally, and he's not a villain, but what he was doing was not good. I don't think that was good. I wouldn't say that's a good act to do, to make a clone of your daughter.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely like questionable. There's moral gray area there. I would argue that, probably cloning just in general is very like an ethical gray area that's going to need lots of study before anybody's going to be able to figure out if this is morally right or wrong to do. It's very weird. I will say though, I think they do a relatively good job of like telegraphing it. From the beginning, where she comes up to his bed, he's looking at pictures, and she asks, "Do I look like her?" And he's like, "Oh, you're the mirror image," right? Which of course is like a normal thing that a grandfather would say to their granddaughter. But then looking back on it, you're like, "Oh, well, of course she is. She was grown in a tube." You know what I mean? The other thing is, man, where'd he get the DNA from his daughter?
I know. Did
she die in the car crash? And he was like, I gotta get a hair.
That maybe he like went up to one of her brushes.
Which, I mean, is weird. I mean, it's a weird way to grieve. Yeah. To create a clone of your daughter.
I wouldn't clone you.
I would hope not.
I'm just gonna let you know that right now.
Yeah, I like those memes where it's like me looking up from hell at my clone living my life. I think those are really funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's very, very weird. I felt like it wasn't needed. It wasn't necessary. You know what I mean? Because I felt like the reason that they did it was basically just so at the end, when Maisie lets the dinosaurs go out into the world, it's like she has a reason to do it. Yeah. But I don't think you need to give her a reason other than the fact that she is 9 years old and loves dinosaurs. Of course, it's the sort of first order thinking that a child would do that would make you say, or that would make her want to release all of these apex predators out in the wild in like a suburban neighborhood. You know what I mean? I don't think she needs a reason. And so I feel like the fact that she's cloned just muddles the movie.
She's evil, dude. She's secretly diabolical.
She's got like an inhibitor chip, like a clone from Star Wars. Oh. Execute Order 66. And she lets the dinosaurs go.
And just lets them rain havoc. Sorry.
Yeah. Woo! I will say there's one thing that I also like. I do think it's interesting that sort of the defining image of like the first trilogy of Jurassic Park movies is like the T-Rex. And in this series, and I haven't seen the next one yet. I haven't seen Dominion once.
I haven't seen Dominion.
I have no idea what it's going to be like. But I like, at least in these first two movies, it's like the defining image of this trilogy thus far has been the Raptors. I think that's interesting. I think they sort of play up the Raptors too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like it's a little too heavy-handed. I mean, I guess from a narrative standpoint, it's like, okay, we genetically create like this ultimate predator. How do we get these regular old humans out of it? Okay, I guess we throw another dinosaur at it. You know what I mean? So I get it, but it's like, I don't know, a little unsatisfying to me.
Yeah. Sorry. One thing that really made me mad, and you bring up how them like using the Raptors a lot. You know what they also do a lot that we literally talked about in the last episode? the use of the T-Rex saving the day.
Yeah.
He does it again.
Yeah.
And then they do the cool scream like he's the hero of the movie because he was the original big bad.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that the part that was jarring to me about that is that it was the second time in the movie that we have like a giant T-Rex scream.
Yeah.
Because it happens at the beginning too on the island.
And then it happens at the end too.
Yeah. Well, that would be the second time that we were just talking about.
Oh,
yeah. The one that you brought up. I feel like this movie should have just been a survival adventure of the island blowing up.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie should have ended with the blowing up of the island instead of happening in the beginning. You know, it should have been like a survival thriller. Like maybe you still have them be betrayed by the military or private contractors or whatever they are. Maybe you still have them betray them in the first act, but I think the whole movie should take place on the island.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I really like the thing about this movie is it was very fun, and I did enjoy it a lot more than the first one. And it's because of in my opinion, it is because of the island. The first half is so fun, you know, like we've been talking about the whole survival aspect. The action is really cool in the scene when they're running away from like all that ash and smoke coming down, you know. Yeah. And when Chris Pratt just gets engulfed in it, and then there's that really intense underwater scene with
that was very well made.
Yeah.
It was great because it was just there was no music. You could just hear Claire and Franklin like talking and freaking out and just hear the water streaming in. That was very well done.
Franklin, I want to get back to that scene in a second, but Franklin,
I hate that guy, dude.
Bro, he's annoying, but that scream it was so hilarious. Funny, dude. Anyway, that scene was so fun when Chris Pratt gets in the water and he pulls out a pistol and he like pops 3 shots in there. It like something like falls down and burns his hand. And he loses it, and it was a really cool little detail.
Yeah, but man, he swam in there for a long time. I feel like the gunpowder would have been wet. He would not have been able to fire that.
What if that was a really powerful gun? A really powerful gun.
What if it's like a sawed-off shotgun and he blows their heads off?
He kills Franklin and Claire, dude.
That would have been wild. You know, you mentioned the smoke as the island is exploding. I do want to say that final scene when the cargo ships are pulling away from the island and we have I don't know, like a brontosaur, a brachiosaur, I don't know. Like we mentioned, we're not good with dinosaurs.
One of the leaf dinosaurs, the veggie D.
A big long neck. I was gonna say something.
A veggie D.
I'm sorry?
We'll call them veggie Ds.
Yeah, so veggie Ds. No, that sounds dumb. So this dinosaur is like, it's, you know, standing on its lonesome in the middle of this dock, just sort of bellowing after the cargo ship as it leaves. That was a pretty powerful scene. Yeah. You know, it was very well done. The only complaint I have about that scene, and it's very, very minimal, I'm just nitpicking here, because if they had done this, I felt like it would have been more impactful. Once he's enveloped by the smoke, I don't think we should have seen his outline. You know, so he gets enveloped by the smoke, and then there's still like the light of the lava behind him or whatever that illuminates his outline. I don't think we should have seen that. I think he should have just been enveloped by smoke, and then we don't see anything. We just have this long sustained shot where we hear the bellow of the dinosaur.
I wish we could have had the outline still, but we see the T-Rex come in and just kill it.
Just snap his neck.
And then we get another scream.
No, the T-Rex was on the boat. Idiot.
That's right. You know how crapped up saved it. Chris Pratt would be after all that. He'd have such bad bronchitis. I mean, he was engulfed in that smoke. Well, okay, let's think about the run. He was really far from the edge. Really far from the edge of it. All right? He was engulfed in that smoke for a solid half a mile. I don't know.
That's a little much.
I don't know. Maybe I'm extending my distances a little bit here. But a pretty long run, you know? Enough time to really hurt yourself in that smoke. I just don't think he'd be underwater holding his breath that long after that. like you'd be coughing and dying.
Yeah, but you're like a regular guy. This guy was in the Navy.
All
you know,
right.
they said that in the first movie. Like, he's ex-Navy. You know, he would have gone through the ringer.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, he at least, you know, went to basic. You know what I mean? Like, he was exposed to some things. He knows how to, you know, do all this and survive. And he would probably know ways to, like, what is it? I don't remember. There's a specific breathing technique that seals do. That is supposed to make it so that they can hold their breath longer. I can't remember what it's called now, though.
They're crazy, dude.
Dude, seals are so cool.
That's insane.
Seals are so cool.
You know, I listened to a podcast about when they killed Saddam. And
we're not gonna go into this right now.
I'm sorry.
When? Speaking of dinosaurs.
We're scratching that. My bad.
Oh, man. I'm going to keep that in.
It's really interesting.
I'm sure it is. His kids were wild. All right, so Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Another stupid scene, which happens right before that really good scene with the Brontosaurus or whatever the heck kind of dinosaur that is. But where they're driving in, the covered van or whatever, and the cargo ship is pulling away, and so Claire drives it straight off the pier. And the front lifts up like it was on a ramp. That was dumb.
It hit a rock, dude. Hit a rock.
Nah, that was stupid.
No, there's a lot of things in this movie that are amplified for action, you know?
Yeah.
That where it's just like,
Well, I mean, and the ship wasn't like that far away, and it's not going very fast. Like, maybe I'm wrong here, and the physics wouldn't make it work, but I feel like you could have just got out and swam to it and just been fine.
Yeah, but I'd be really scared in that water, you know? There's a lot of scary things in that water.
Man, they're trying to run away from the exploding island. Swim away from the exploding island.
How hot would that water get, like the surface of that get for a little bit after that volcano explodes?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on like how close you are to the actual like activity. You know what I mean? Because the ocean itself, I mean, I'm not 100% sure on where this island is, but like in a lot of places, the ocean's cold. Like, it's not like the ocean's like a brisk, like 80 degrees.
I've never gotten to touch the ocean.
It's cold.
I've lived in the good old NE my whole life.
It's cold.
I'm going to the ocean soon, so I'll be able to tell all of you how it feels.
Yeah, let us know if you can jump. If you can, take a pistol down there with you and see if you can shoot it.
Okay, I'll put two people. I'll find a hamster ball, and I'll put two people's hands in there, just as a reference.
Yeah,
and then I'll pop two in the hamster ball, and we'll call it good.
Yeah, I feel like this movie. To get back to the movie, I feel like it should have been broken up into two movies. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know what Dominion is, but I feel like the first movie, or I guess the second movie, should be: we have to save the dinosaurs. The island's gonna blow up, and at the end of the movie, the island blows up. And then the third movie is the stuff with the Indoraptor, where you find out, like, oh man, what have they been doing with the dinosaurs in all this time?
I think Dominion's like it's chilling in America. Well, the world.
Chilling in America. We got a lot of singing in this episode.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, no.
Across the nation.
Well, the thing is like we've already had dinosaurs in America, and it was the second Jurassic Park movie. I mean, it was one T-Rex. And one T-Rex is enough.
Well, I mean, nothing in this thing has been like original, but like if you're gonna retread the same stories, at least try and do it in an interesting way. I mean, did the island blow up, or did it like flip over or something in one of the original Jurassic Park movies?
Flip over? What? Just a full flip? It was too heavy on one side.
Man, I don't know what movie that was. The island flips over. Anyways, but yeah. So, final thoughts, Shayde?
Oh man. Again, I did enjoy. Did I say at the beginning that I enjoyed the first better than this?
No, I think you said you liked this one better.
Okay, all right, good. I forgot if I did or didn't. I like this one better. It was more more aesthetically pleasing, I guess, to put it like that. And I felt like it was a better, I mean, like the story is a Jurassic Park story, you know? So, but it was still, in my opinion, a little more fun to watch than the first one.
Yeah, I would say it's certainly more interesting, if for no other reason than the fact that it's, you know, it's the same problem I have with the new Star Wars trilogy, is that like Force Awakens is literally just A New Hope. Jurassic World is literally just Jurassic Park. At least this is something like kind of different. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like The Last Jedi is something kind of different. This is kind of different. And so it gets a few more points for me. But like I said, I mean, I don't think that, you know, I just don't think that this whole trilogy should have been made. I feel like we needed to wait longer and get to a place where it's like we're hankering for dinosaurs and to do them in a way where it looks really good and it's scary. Because that's the thing. That's why the first Jurassic Park did so well, is because it's scary. You know, and they tried to capture some of that in the end of this one with the Indoraptor like crawling on the roof to that little girl's room or whatever.
The thing about, sorry, I know what was that time, but the Jurassic movies, the opening scenes are so important.
This one wasn't.
Not this one. It was crap. But like,
was the opening scene in the first one important? Or Jurassic World, I mean?
Or not important, but I mean important in the fact that like the opening scenes for them all are always like really, really intense and scary just right off the bat. You know, and that's for almost every Jurassic Park movie. I would say, yeah. It's always an opening scene that's intense.
I honestly can't think of the opening scenes of any of the other movies, so I can't fact check you.
Oh, crap. Okay.
But if you say so, I guess.
Well, we also got teased a little Goldblum, but we didn't even actually get him. Like, we did for like 2 seconds at the start and at the end.
That was going to be my second option for the alternate title of the movie. It was going to be Jurassic World and the pointless cameo of Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he just talked in court, and that was it. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is for 2 scenes at the beginning and then at the end. I mean, he's only there so he can have the cool line where he's like, "We live in Jurassic World now." Yeah, which is kind of pointless in and of itself. But in any case, I think we're going to leave it there. Let us know down in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. Make sure that you like and subscribe to never miss another nerd video. Yes. Again, head on over to patreon.com if you like what we do and want to help us make these even better. Let's see what we've got on the calendar here. Let's see. So next Tuesday, we're going to be back to discuss Jurassic World Dominion, which is the 3rd installment in this original Jurassic World trilogy. Yeah. And then on Thursday, July 3rd, I'll be talking about Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern, what I think is the greatest Green Lantern run of all time. That one's going to be a lot of fun because it is coincidentally the exact 1-year anniversary of when I started to like Green Lantern, which I think is just, it's like, what are the odds of that? Literally, we were on our way to Colorado on July 3rd, and that was when I read the New 52 Green Lantern Core series. And then that's when I was like, oh man, maybe this is interesting. And now it's, you know, one of my favorite characters. So I'm going to have a lot of fun talking about that. And then the Tuesday after that, we're going to be back to review the new Jurassic World movie starring Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, it's Scarlett J, bro.
Yes, I hope she turns into a velociraptor.
It's blue. She's blue.
She's blue. It's a prequel.
Holy crap.
All right, man, that's going to be fun. Can't wait to talk about that. And we hope you guys are excited to listen to us jibber jabber on about it for a while. Make sure, again, to like and subscribe. And we will see you guys on Thursday.
On the flippity flip.
Roll credits.